Could
Liar.
be. I don't remember if it was a lie or if it was the truth. I can't tell you.
Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
4 years later.
He did say that. He said that he was going to say that when we started the episode this week. Because we forgot to mention it last week.
Perfectly on top.
Lola, can you drop off and come back?
Oh, yeah, you're frozen.
Fuck both of you. All three of you, sorry.
She's coming back, guys. If you're watching live, she's coming back.
Well, I only just noticed that she stayed frozen because I only thought she kind of stuttered because you were starting live and that, because it happens sometimes.
Yeah, no, she's been frozen since she joined.
Beautiful.
Well,
like on and off.
Buttering in that, yes. And then Yadi was doing that as well, but his signal's gotten better.
Yeah.
But I mean, once again, EVMux hates internet.
Yep.
So
pretty much.
If you guys
get on.
Oh yeah. It well, what's weird is usually it'll correct itself for you guys when the live starts. Because that's actually, I think that's actually the first time that you've actually had to drop off after we've started the live and come back on. Because usually you have to do that well before it.
I thought about it.
It also says that the preview is going to look less than what the actual recording is. So, because it doesn't want to use as much resource for the preview.
Right.
But whenever whenever I'm editing, I can see the difference. Although last week when I was doing the editing yesterday for last week's episode, it literally the first 3 minutes of our recording, I was so blurry, and I'm like, oh no, I hope it's not like this. But then it caught up.
Oh yeah. Well, like I said, EVMux seems to hate internet. So the people at EVMux, if you're watching this, probably not, fix your shit.
Hey, on that note, you know how on TikTok you can see the people that look at your profile?
No. Yes, I do actually.
Okay. Melt Studio looked at my profile.
Ooh.
I don't know who they are.
It's a newer OBS like software, which is
brand new broadcast software.
Yeah. Because I had mentioned to them in a comment, it's like, hey, listen, this is all great for streamers, but what about like podcasters that aren't all in the same building? Can we talk about this? Can I give you guys some input and we can work on this together? And they're like, we should do that. But they never got to me. And this was like maybe 3 months ago. And then this week they looked at my profile. I'm like, maybe they're looking to see if
that guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's still early days for them, so I think there's definitely something that they can do for that. Because I mean, you've got OBS, which has like NDI plugins and things like that that can do the same thing. And then the Streamlabs desktop has their native stuff where you can do the screen share and what have you, and have multiple people on at the same time. The issue with Streamlabs though is it's too resource heavy for a lot of people, and then OBS Studio is starting to become that as well. It's starting to become like super resource heavy, and that's a big part of why Meld is kind of gaining traction, because they're a lot lighter weight in terms of broadcasting software.
Right. And a lot of their stuff is literally, instead of downloading plugins, it's already integrated.
Oh yeah.
And one thing the reason why I wanted to bring it up to them was because yes, there is a way I can literally just screen record our conversation on Discord if we wanted to. But if I wanted to, let's say, go live on TikTok at the same time as YouTube, I can if I was doing a gameplay, because they have the portrait and the, like side by side. But if I do that, then it's going to be a smaller screen. So the reason I wanted to see if there's something that can be done that way individually, and I can put the cameras where they go, and I can make it look like it's meant for a smaller screen instead of patching it through like, oh, it's for a bigger screen, but here you go.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. That's one thing that Streamlabs seems to do very, very well.
Yeah. So with that being said, I know the title says that we're going to talk about 90s and 2000s video games. That's what we're going to talk about. So stick through. Don't go anywhere. I promise you that's exactly what we're going to talk about after our intro.
Guys, welcome to the Nerd Archive podcast.
The little guy, Bilbo or Pippin, whatever the hell his name is.
Nintendo fans, I see a lot of people getting it, just freaky corner.
It searched to the right one because I beat it to it. I'm like, transition. Okay.
Beat it.
Yeah. That was me last night.
Gross.
We did not need to know that, but sure, why not?
Hey, it's not a Nerd Archive podcast if I don't have a joke like that. Hey, Beefy. Hey, look, it's
We got
Beefy.
beef.
Don't move. It's Beefy.
Beefaroni.
You beefinator.
Faruni.
Beefaroni.
Look, those are his armpits and his nipples.
Nice.
These are his paws. These are his paw pads. He has nails as well. They're multiple different colors.
Did you paint his nails?
No, that's just him.
So he has a blue one?
No, he has black ones. He has black ones and he has white ones.
Oh, he's diverse. Nice.
Yeah, he's black and white. All of them. Look at him.
Nice. Good for you, Beefy. Good for you.
All of a sudden, I was reminded of that episode of that Soviet Womble episode from Arma 3, where he was stress relieving by petting his dog, and then he was like, "This creature has 8 nipples, everybody."
How do you think he's doing? Stress relief, man.
Oh yeah.
Listen, I bet that episode is better than the CG episode for the Power Rangers or Super Sentai. That was terrible, dude. Rawr.
That episode is in the past for us, but in the future for everyone else. Move on.
This isn't the episode you're looking for.
Yeah. You guys will, the viewers at home will see that episode in a few weeks. It's all good.
But it's good. You should be looking forward to it because I do not stop talking about it. So
yes, yeah. That it was, and I obviously, yeah, I know we have a topic to talk about, but this is what we do. That was an hour and 36-minute raw file that I was only able to edit down to like a little over an hour and 15 minutes.
Hey, listen, if it makes you feel better, our last episode was also an hour and 30 minutes, and I got it down to an hour and 15. So pretty much all of our episodes are like that.
Well, yeah, because we like to talk.
Yeah, well, if you are a nerd that apparently I don't know how to speak, you love to talk, but a lot of people don't listen to you because they don't care about what you have to say. But here we are. We're a safe place for you.
That you said that weird. I have a question for you, unrelated to everything that we've spoken about today and unrelated to the topic. Do you see the board? Do you see my board? Do you see my board game? Do you see the board game?
I did. I was like, I can't see anything behind you.
No,
but it took me a second. Okay, I forgot that you posted this a couple days ago.
Yes.
And I also took a nap today, so anything that could have happened before that nap, it's erased.
And I was going to say, yeah, and yet your brain still doesn't function.
No, not at all. Ever.
Well, you guys started talking about OBS and all that stuff, and I was like, oh, I'm going to sleep again. Okay.
It happens.
Hmm.
Hey, listen. I'm going to. This is bothering me.
What's bothering you?
Just wait.
Flip it around.
That's not the way I wanted it.
What are
Sure.
well, I was gonna say, what are you even
Do it.
doing?
Don't worry about it.
Are you switching you around?
Everybody.
Yeah, that's it.
There you go.
Okay,
Well,
that makes more sense. Justin's not aligned though.
Yeah.
I know. I just saw it. His camera's a lot smaller than. Okay.
You don't say that to their face.
I didn't. Well, now I did because.
Now you're facing him.
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah.
I should have said it when his back was turned to me.
Yeah.
All right. So 90s, 2000s video games. Listen, I know for a fact that all of us grew up playing video games.
And probably
Except for
the first
Lola.
game we all play the same.
Well, that I remember. Okay, let's start off with which was the first video game you ever played? Go. Don't care who it is. Just go.
The OG Metroid for the original NES.
That's a good choice. That was a good startup.
However, it was one of those games that I couldn't appreciate back then, being as young as I was. And so it's not like it's not one that I remembered as well as, like, say, Super Mario Brothers 3.
I was waiting for you to say as much.
Oh yeah. But then, like, nowadays, going back to like those older like Metroid games, they're fucking incredible. Even like I said, even the older ones, like the OG Metroid, as dated as the graphics are now by today's standards.
I thought you were gonna say different. I thought you were gonna say they're crap, but I agree with you. They're good. The first game I played too in the Game Boy was Metroid as well.
Metroid.
I can't
2.
recall which one.
Metroid 2: Return of Samus. That game was fucking incredible, especially for the time and the system and like the limited graphics that it was on.
It was very cool.
Oh yes.
I remember switching from the original Game Boy to a Game Boy Color with that game.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, "Oh my god, look! There's some color here." There
yeah.
wasn't.
Oh
but
yeah.
it looked like it.
Yeah.
I did the same thing. I mean, well, this was before the Game Boy Color, but I did the same thing with the Super Game Boy when it came out for the Super NES. That was super cool because it introduced like color palettes for the different games, and some of them had like actual like full-on custom-made color palettes for them. And then for those that didn't, you had like several pre-made ones. And I think Metroid 2 didn't have like a full-on custom color palette for it, but like to be able to see like, oh my God, playing this game in color like is super, super cool.
I wonder if that's how people felt when they watch TV for the first time in color.
Probably.
That's cool. Lola, what was your first like memory of video game that you ever played?
Definitely the GTA one that you had and Super
That's great.
Mario 64. And I want to say they may have been in the same timeline, but honestly, I don't know. They were in the same room for sure.
The Super Mario and GTA?
Yeah, they were like in your old bedroom in the 2-story house that we used to live in.
It was, but in different timelines because we lived in that house for like 10 years.
Yeah.
So because the Super Mario one was on Super Nintendo, and once I got PlayStation, I did not play the Super Nintendo ever again.
So I was 7 when we moved out of that house.
So it wasn't 10. Well, you also have to remember I was alive before
older. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you're an old bitch. You don't have to remind me. I can see it. That's not the point. The point is, I don't understand the timeline because I was 7 and barely conscious.
That was me today. Not the 7 part, but barely conscious. But yes, I'm so sorry that the first video game you ever played was running over prostitutes. I am so sorry.
You know what? It's a very prominent memory. I'm not sorry. I enjoyed it. Unlike Justin with the first game he played, I remember it being very memorable.
And in color.
Color.
That shows the different generations between the three of us and you, Lola, because our first, like, my first memory was in the Game Boy. It was Donkey Kong.
I was going to say, I also remember playing a lot of Donkey Kong, but I don't remember when throughout my life I acquired said game and the Game Boy.
Well, if I acquired it when I was 7, that means you were just born.
Yeah.
So, and I think I was actually maybe a little bit younger than that, because I remember my first handheld console was the Game Boy Pocket. That was insane to think about, that they went from a Game Boy that was this big that as a child, it was weighing. I couldn't hold it very well. I was also a very weak child.
Apparently.
But the Game Boy Pocket was insane. It was, you want to talk about moving forward in technology, putting all the technology that was in that big ass box to put it in a smaller box. I'm so sorry. I said ass. But then I went from the Game Boy Pocket to the Game Boy Color, which it's just right.
Yep.
That's my game.
Well, it used to be your game. I still have it. Don't get me wrong. It just doesn't work. I think it got passed through the wash a couple times.
I was about to say, yeah, you still have the cartridge, but I think the last time you had showed it on screen, and I think you had said that, yeah, it stopped working a long time ago.
Yeah, this is the OG. This is your OG Donkey Kong game.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's
this
crazy.
doesn't work anymore. I know. This doesn't work anymore, so I had to buy a new one. And a new one.
Yeah, a new one.
So
does the old one? Oh, that doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
Actually, it's funny because those you can throw, smash, whatever, run them over,
not wash.
Obviously, technology and water, but
pretty much
anything else, it's like the Nokia 3800. You can run it over with a car and still text. You drop your phone now for like half a foot and it's gone.
Well, maybe not gone, but the screen shatters into a million pieces.
Yeah.
And then nowadays the back will do the same thing because it's also made of glass.
Yeah. Because that makes sense.
To this day, never, ever made sense. You can't make that make sense, that decision.
I'm sure that they did it because of the wireless charging. They didn't want your whole back to be metal when you're putting electricity through it. Which
I suppose that makes sense because looking at it now, but nowadays with what Nintendo has done with the Switch 2, being able to have that function with the controllers the way it does, and then having those magnets.
Yeah.
Especially literally right next to the screen.
No, and that makes sense. It's more of your hand holding the metal while you're charging it. But Ronald Shelton says, first game I ever played was probably something Super Nintendo like Mega Man or Lion King. Which
it sounded like you were struggling to see that second game.
Yeah, you know what threw me off? The X after Mega Man. I know that's the name of the game, but my brain read it as Mega Man times or Lion King, so I had to rephrase it in my head to not say times or multiplied by. or 10. So it is what it is.
How many Mega Mans do you get if you times him by Lion King?
I don't know, but you're gonna get a scar. With that being said, okay. So you told me what's your favorite, your first memory of a video game. What is the most memorable? Like Lola said, GTA. Obviously, for obvious reasons, you're like a child playing
Possibly,
GTA.
yeah. I think people should have known back then my personality.
Girl, people should have known your personality when they had to take you out in birth because you were removed because you were your umbilical cord was around your neck.
I just wanted to make a surprise guest appearance.
You just wanted to make a grand entrance.
Exactly. And you know what? I think I achieved that.
You did. You did. I was in school. I remember the day that Tio Jr. went to get me at school because mom had to be rushed to the hospital.
Yeah.
But I digress. You always get in my business, I guess.
That it's my job as the younger sibling to make sure that all the thunder is stolen from you.
That's why I ignore your text.
I can confirm this because I would do the same shit because I am the youngest of 4.
Yeah.
I understand.
I'm the youngest of 3.
Mm.
And I
on our side.
Actually, only 3 of which my mother can take credit for. So,
damn,
as she puts it,
that is the best way of saying that.
Well, it's literally the way she puts it. It's like I always say like I'm the youngest of 4, and then she'll chime in. It's like only 3 of which I can take credit for. So
yeah. So
I'm also the oldest on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
So because obviously Julie, she's our sister, but she's my stepsister. So I'm still the oldest from either side. And Lola, you're not the youngest of my siblings, but you have the vibe.
Sean is the youngest?
Yeah, Sean is the youngest.
Oh, there.
Yeah. But
dethroned.
Yeah.
That's okay. I still made myself the shining star of his life.
You do have the vibe.
I do have the vibe. Have you seen me? Look at how cute I am.
Yeah. Potato, I guess. And by that means that you look like a potato. But
then your
whatever.
daughter loves me more because she loves potatoes. And you know what? I agree with her. They're very
That's fine.
versatile.
That's fine. Everyone in the family loves you more.
I know. Anyways, so most memorable, you don't gotta tell me that. I'm aware. Most memorable, yes, GTA, but also Donkey Kong. I love Donkey Kong. It's one of my favorite games.
Like Donkey Kong or Donkey Kong Adventure? What is it called? Country Donkey Kong or Donkey Kong Country?
I think it's called
just Donkey Kong.
Donkey Kong.
Yeah,
that one is just Donkey Kong.
Which is funny because you don't play as Donkey Kong.
No.
You're never Donkey Kong in a game.
No.
Oh,
you are Mario.
But like me, he was the shining star of said game because he kept stealing shit. Specifically women. Specifically one woman.
Why does Mario always go through that?
I don't know.
Donkey Kong, Bowser, Luigi. I digress. But what about you guys?
There's a few games I remember playing a lot. The first one was duck hunting because it was so cool to be able to shoot at your TV, but not really. Mm-hmm. And I always wonder, like, how does it know? How does it know? Mm-hmm. I regret this that I made this years after. I took that gun and I cut the cable. And I
think everyone did. A lot of people did, not everyone. Yeah.
Regret it. but I didn't have the system then. Anyways, that one and of course Mario, Super Mario Bros. And Batman Forever, I think it was for Super Nintendo.
Yeah, that was the game was better than the movie, I must say.
I love those movies before. And Killer Instinct. Sorry, there's so many games that come to my head that I play a lot. Killer Instinct was one of them. I think that was my first fighting game was Killer Instinct, and then Mortal Kombat
on Super Nintendo, and the cartridge was black.
Yep.
Yeah, they redid Killer Instinct for the newer consoles. Yeah, for the Xbox, and I was so excited to get it, and it was not. It did not live up to the hype of the original one.
Oh, that remake was a bit of a letdown. To be honest, I'm surprised they were able to pull off Killer Instinct on the Super NES. Like when they redid it as Killer Instinct Gold for the N64, I'm like, this is how the game itself should function, and it's how you expected it to play. Like it was in the arcades, but like the SNES version, like how are they? And basically it's what a lot of people call an impossible port. I imagine there was a lot of significant sacrifices that had to be made in order to make that run, but still, for the time,
it was a great game.
Yes, it was.
It was amazing, and then
I sucked at it, but
it's fine. I think everybody did.
I think we should bring up like the first game we played on each console.
Oh, that's a good one. No, that's a good one. Let's talk about that next. Justin, what about you? Before Yadi remembers another one.
Yeah. Yeah. Memorable games. I mean, there's been a number of games that I've really enjoyed playing, but for like most memorable, you're talking like Super Metroid for the Super NES, which was a whole lot of fun, a real challenge to play, even today by today's standards. I mean, that game still holds up, and but like I think as far as like I would say it's up there, but like most memorable, Ocarina of Time for the N64.
Yeah. I think I spent countless times on that one, which is funny because I never owned it. I had a friend that had it, and we spent a lot of time playing that. It was crazy. To me, it was Pokemon Yellow. I spent way too much time on that game. And it was one of those games that even after I was done with it, I would restart it and play it again. Because I didn't want to go to a different game. And then Gold came out. Oh man, that's even because Gold was gold. And I'm not talking about the color. I'm talking about great game because you had the regular playthrough, and then after that you went back to the original playthrough. And you're like,
it was a huge step above Gen 1 because it was just like you basically doubled the amount of content that you had on that game, and just like how were they able to do that?
And it makes you think, were they not aware of how powerful their technology was that they limit themselves? Because going from Game Boy to Game Boy Color, the cartridges were the same. So the technology wasn't too different, obviously adding color palettes to it. And you would think that would take more space in the cartridge with the coding of the colors, but at the same time, the fact that the more it progressed, the technology itself, the hardware didn't change, but the gains were bigger. So it makes you wonder if they were either didn't know or they were trying it out.
Well, there really wasn't much of a difference between, as far as tech it goes, between because looking at it now, like I said, there wasn't really much of a difference between red and blue, or red, blue, and yellow, and gold and silver, because it was still made generally for the Game Boy. It wasn't until Pokemon Crystal, which was purpose built for the Game Boy Color, where you could not play that on anything else, at least from the previous gen. But like, I would imagine like there was still some advancements enough to be able to make it so you could put all of that content from the first and second gen on one game, because there's a lot of stuff there. I mean, obviously by today's standards, it's not really that big of a leap, but back then it was insane.
Trey said blue, then silver for me, yellow, and you can't evolve Pikachu, so no, and Lugia over Ho-Oh all day. Listen, that's cool and all, but even if I could evolve Pikachu, I never did. Like, to me, Raichu, it looks great, but it wasn't Pikachu. So I never evolved them, regardless if I could or not. I would always try to make sure I had a Pikachu on the list. Like, when I was able to find a friend that had an extra Pikachu, then I would evolve him. But I made sure that I wouldn't evolve him until I had the extra one.
He loves Raichu.
Trey.
Ronald in the chat agreed.
Yeah. I'm sure that you like the Raichu they did for Sun and Moon. It looks fantastic. That iteration of Raichu was a little...
Well, I mean, yeah, some of those reimaginings they did for some of the more recent games, like some of them are really cool, but some of them it's just like, why? Like, what were you smoking when you decided to come up with that?
Don't get me wrong. The thought process, I don't know what was, but thinking about Raichu using his tail as a surfboard, that was kind of cool. But at the same time, it's fine.
Well, I think my hang up for redesigns was, or one of them was, what was the Meowth, the redesign for Meowth.
Yeah, you got to think about it. At this point they had 900 Pokemon. At what point are you going to be like, fuck, I don't know what else to do. Let me go back to the OG and give them a redesign just to catch the old fans and the new fans together.
Oh yeah. Ronald in the chat, Snow Ninetales was cool. I agree with that one. That
I agree.
That is a prime example of a really good redesign.
Yeah.
Nothing over the top. Just
Trey, I know I was the one that brought up Raichu snowboard, but I'm gonna stick to 90s and 2000s. Thank you very much.
Ronald in the chat again, notice how they never touched Charizard. That's not strictly speaking true, because Mega Evolutions did change that with Charizard X or Mega Charizard X and Y. Granted, it was only a temporary. It was only a temporary evolution that you could access during battle, but still,
there were cool designs too. I do have to say.
Yeah.
But now, let's go to the question that Yadi posed. What was your first game on each console? Was that the question you gave us? Just like that?
Yeah, like if you remember, what were those games? Because at least to start with, like the PlayStation 2, the first game I played was Gran Turismo at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I think I already mentioned with Super Nintendo and whatnot, but I feel like with let's see, Nintendo 64, Mario 64.
Yeah, I think we can all agree. I don't remember a lot of games in Nintendo 64 because of Super Mario 64.
Yeah, I played a lot of that one.
Mhm.
Even after you collect almost everything, I think I did get to collect all of the stars. Can't recall.
It's just think about it. Think about the game itself. It wasn't like if you go back to the OG, you go into the map and then you see a dot and you go in there. That's a new mission, and then on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Or you go to a castle and you enter the castle and that's the new mission. You literally had nowhere else to be other than this one castle that had paintings everywhere. Mm-hmm. And these paintings fooled you. How many times did you, like the first time you play the game and you're going through and you see a painting and you ran and I'm not the only one that did the running jump. Woohoo! And into the wrong painting.
Plenty of times.
You were not the only one that's done that. And I mean, yeah, no, I think everybody that has played video games, especially during that era, remembers Mario 64 because, I mean, it was the first game, like I said, it was the first game on the system, but it was also, for the time, it was a technical marvel.
Mm-hmm.
The progression from 2D to 3D with this franchise was crazy. Nowadays, that game does not hold up because the controls, and especially if you're trying to play it on a modern controller, are ass.
But I like that.
I don't like ass.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. I just didn't want to say it out loud.
I know. I got you.
I mean, we all know this, and now the any new viewers that are coming through will know this. Will they stay after knowing this? Who's to say?
Well, too bad for them.
We're progressive. He likes ass.
They're left behind. But I digress.
Ronald, I agree. WCW and WL game was awesome. Same with WCW Nitro. I played those. That was my first wrestling game that got me into a path of destruction and damage of controllers.
Yeah.
So we spent quite a bit of money on controllers and replacements.
Your earliest rage quit moments?
Oh yeah. Until I got better, then I beat everyone. I invited people over so that I can beat them in the game.
Oh, I was like, damn, bro. I couldn't just. My mom told me not to destroy any more controllers, so I just beat them up. Yeah, no, and I remember. Let's talk about. Well, you already said yours on rage quitting. What was your first one? But that's a good one. We can come back to that. Let's circle back to that. What about Lola? You didn't play Nintendo 64, so I think that your list starts later on the GameCube.
I just said Super Mario 64.
Okay, perfect. That's it. That's all you remember.
Yeah, I also remember maybe Mortal Kombat, but I don't remember.
That was Super Nintendo.
Okay.
Because I know for a fact that
I know you had that cassette thing.
Yeah, I had the it was
shoebox.
It was what?
It looked like a shoebox.
It did, but then it was a tray. You pull it out, and they were all stacked in there, and it said Nintendo 64 on it. But even though it said Nintendo 64 on it, the Super Nintendo games fit. So I had that. I wish I had that. I looked it up, and it's like they sell them now for like $150 just the box.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's crazy. But so Super Mario 64. What about PlayStation 1? Oh, Dreamcast. Does anybody remember playing Dreamcast?
Yes.
Or Sega Saturn?
I had a friend that had it. I never owned a Dreamcast or a Sega either.
It's funny. Everyone that I know tells me the same thing. I never owned it, but I knew someone that owned it. Like, how do they sell? Like,
and then they were the people that did not have a Nintendo. They had the Sega.
Yeah.
So you always went to their house for those.
Yep.
Well, I mean, yeah, no, it's funny. A lot of the people in my old friends group had the Sega Genesis, or like a few people had the Sega Saturn, but obviously that whole debacle with the Saturn didn't really go over too well. And then I had the Dreamcast, I think maybe a year after the console was discontinued, and had gotten a few games for it.
The Dreamcast was the first one with the disc. Am I correct?
For Sega, no. That was the Saturn.
The Saturn. And the Saturn was the first one to have a disc.
The first from Sega to have one. I think PlayStation came out before Saturn. Chat will probably correct me on that if I'm wrong, but
so I guess like we could go by consoles. In Sega, whoever didn't play Sonic or Street Fighter, I don't know what they were playing. That's only 2 games that I ever played on Sega.
I gotcha.
Genesis.
So Ronald Shelton in the chat saying, so crazy how much better the Dreamcast was than every other console, but nobody cared. Now, the reason for that was due to the massive misstep that Sega made with the Saturn when they introduced the Sega Saturn after they had been working on it, and they literally shadow dropped an entire console that day when they introduced it. I think it might have been an E3 conference or something like that, and literally there were like almost no games for it outside of like first party Sega titles because nobody had games ready for it, and it pissed a lot of people off. And so the Saturn really didn't do all that well. And then, of course, that bad blood wound up carrying over to the Dreamcast. And so it wound up just not selling. And that's the thing, though. The Dreamcast was an incredible console. It really sucks how it didn't really get its due and just became the last gasp for Sega in the console market.
Yeah, I don't think I ever played it besides at the store whenever you were able to test the games and whatnot before you bought them. That's my only memory. I think one of my friends had it, but he never had people inside his house, so we never played it. Some people have rules.
Yeah.
The Dreamcast or the Saturn?
Dreamcast.
I gotcha. Ronald in the chat, I believe the frame rate was up to 60 FPS all the way back then. If that's the case, then they were actually pretty well ahead of their time. Which, again, I mean, it's a shame that it didn't succeed as well as it probably should have. Plus, Dreamcast was the only console at the time that actually came with an internet adapter attached to it. So you could play online through their service, which I think might have been free. I'm not sure. But by the time I got into it, all that service and that shit was shut down anyway. So
the internets tell me that the Sega Saturn and the PlayStation both came out the same year, but Sega Saturn came out 2 months before PlayStation.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go.
I
stand corrected.
But at the same time, if they came on the same year, they were working on it at the same time.
Pretty much. They were step for step.
Yeah, but the first console to ever come out with a CD base console was an NEC PC Engine CD-ROM 2 unit.
Oh, yeah.
So
that's another one that didn't really last too long because I mean, think about it. You had the OG PC Engine TurboGrafx 16 that was trying to compete between the SNES and the Genesis or Mega Drive if you're in Europe and the UK. And so that didn't really work out all that well. And then you have the evolution to the PC Engine, which was disc based, the first one to the market. But then of course PlayStation, and you have PlayStation, Nintendo, and Sega coming out with their consoles, completely eclipsing those, or completely eclipsing NEC, and there you go. So I don't think that didn't last much more than a few generations.
Yeah. And at the same time, once PlayStation came out, they were the benchmark when it came to like consoles. Because Nintendo was already there, but they were focusing on their own thing. But when PlayStation came out, it's like, this is what we're doing. Y'all keep up.
Yeah, but with the PlayStation, I mean, there's a whole big story about the PlayStation and the advent of that system, that we can talk about. But I mean, that would take forever. But like the black and the white of it is like, if the deal between Sony and Nintendo hadn't fallen through, Nintendo would look a lot different than it does now. And PlayStation as it stands, like the way we know it, wouldn't exist.
Right.
You would have that collab and continued collaboration between Sony and Nintendo with, the basically the Nintendo PlayStation is what it was. The issue with the issue with that though is the terms of the deal were too heavily in favor of Sony for Nintendo's liking, and so they went back on the deal. And I would assume they probably wanted maybe to do some kind of new deal between the two companies, but they wound up going with Panasonic over something. A lot of shit to go into that we don't have time for, but still, Nintendo basically created their own competition with that deal, and the rest is history.
Yeah. And PlayStation is PlayStation now.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, did you guys said which game do you play on PlayStation?
Final Fantasy VII, actually, for me, was the first game I ever played on the PlayStation 1.
I never owned one, but I played my cousin's. It was Crash Bandicoot.
I never played any of those games.
You ever played Crash? It was fun.
I played.
You also, at the time, you had like that, people that will only play certain type of games, so they stayed in that lane.
Oh yeah,
right.
I never owned it, but I played it only when I went to my cousin's.
I played. No, I did actually play Crash Team Racing, but that was like my entire involvement in that franchise was just that one.
Yeah.
Ronald in the chat, Road Rash or Crash for me. Road Rash was an interesting one because that was another one that I played fairly heavily on Sega Genesis.
Is that the one, the motorcycles like hitting each other?
Yep.
I only played that one in a PC. My neighbor had it, so he invited us to play that one.
Lola, you're gonna love this one, Tomb Raider on PlayStation 1. I remember playing that one a lot.
That one also on
you
PC.
playing it a lot.
Yeah, that one and GT2, like Gran Turismo 2. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2.
I also remember you playing a lot of WWE, which I feel like I played with you at some point or another. And then there was any Dragon Ball anything.
Well, I remember I had, okay, so any Dragon Ball game back in the day had to be pirated because they didn't come to the US. They were all Japanese games. They're all literally in Japanese. And you had to have a something to put on your PlayStation. The little lid had to stay open.
Either that or you had to have some kind of mod chip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So,
well, either that or you had to have a mod chip in order to let your PlayStation play those games natively. But those were like extremely difficult to get hands on. And like, and especially that day and age with, before the internet became as widespread as it is now.
Which is funny. How did everyone find out how to play these games? Because you had to
never knew how my friends got it. Like,
and how did they learn that they needed to do that to be able to, like, there was no internet.
Well, no, there was still technically internet. It just wasn't as widely available as it was now. So you had a lot of, it was mainly dial up and mostly like some like low end like message boards and stuff like that. And that's how people communicated. You also had a bunch of different like magazine publications and whatnot that would have that kind of stuff out there. And so that's basically how people kind of gathered and just.
It's just looking back, because you have to also remember that anything that came to Puerto Rico will be years later. So to us, doing it around the same time as you guys was just different, because it was like we had internet, but it was, if you think it was not as many people had internet in the US back then, think about being in Puerto Rico, how many less people had it. Mm-hmm. But it could also, you as a child, you're so focused on your little world that now looking back, I bet that there was people that were still traveling back and forth, and they learned things here that brought back, and vice versa. So
it makes perfect sense, and I understand that. Countries develop at a different pace, and so not everybody, not everywhere is going to be the same, and you can't expect it to be. So,
Trey says Dragon Ball Final Bout, that was amazing game. It is just crazy to think about the things that you could do.
Oh yeah,
and I played Dragon Ball before I even watched the show.
Yeah, me too. That's where I first saw all the transformations and whatnot. And it was a fun game, man. And learning those, like the tricks, it's not as easy as it is in the new game, of course. But learning.
And by the time that those games were out, and here the franchise was already almost 10 years old.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I think
it's crazy to think about that.
I think Bandai and them really saw how popular it was starting to get, with people wanting to get the games and having to either import them or pirate them or what have you. And then because it wasn't until the end of the PlayStation's life cycle, I think, until they actually started publishing the games for the US market, where you didn't have to do that shit anymore. But by that point, people had already started moving on to PlayStation 2.
I played a lot of Madden in the PlayStation, or let's see which one. I just saw one that I'm like, oh yeah, I remember playing that. Mortal Kombat 3. Driver. I played Driver way too much. It was ridiculous. That's the one that I was telling you guys last time that they should remake, because the concept was crazy to think about.
I don't think I ever played that.
Driver, you were literally a stunt driver, and you recreated movie scenes.
Oh yeah. I remember you were telling us about that way back in the first video game episode I think we did.
Yeah. So like, I feel like movies have evolved a lot. And I think that recreating some of these, like taking a Pontiac to space, it would be really cool to do on a driver video game, I think. Which would make more sense in a video game than in real life, but I digress.
Wouldn't that be a flying game?
Maybe it'd be Flight Simulator. That should be a plane that you should be able to simulate. But enough with the PlayStation 1. What about PlayStation 2? Because at this point, now once we get to the PlayStation 2 is when we start seeing the Xbox coming in too.
I don't know anything about PlayStation 2.
For me, it was Ratchet and Clank. I think it was either Going Commando or Up Your Arsenal.
I love those names.
Yep.
I love those games.
Oh yeah. I forget which one of those it was, but I do know for a fact that the first game I ever played on PS2 was a Ratchet and Clank game. Fun games those were.
You had Ghost Recon too, like Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon, Sock'em Combined Assault. Like that's when we started seeing. Well, PlayStation 1 also had a good like war games like Medal of Honor. That was a great war game, I think. And then they fell off the face of the earth when Call of Duty came out. Call of Duty said, "Yeah, you're gonna stay there. We got this."
Oh yeah.
But WWS SmackDown on PlayStation 2. That was.
Yeah, I never bothered with the old SmackDown games. It wasn't until SmackDown versus Raw 2006 on the PS2 that I actually really started playing wrestling games. I mean, I played the WWF Attitude for the N64 and what was it, WCW versus NWO Revenge. Like I played those briefly because we had rented those games. But
the first one I bought for the PS2 or wrestling games were what is it, SmackDown Bring It On?
Yeah.
Just Bring It. Just Bring It On.
Just Bring It.
Just Bring It.
Mm-hmm.
With The Rock.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first one for wrestling. But the first game I had, like I mentioned earlier, was Gran Turismo. Was it 3?
Yeah, GT3, and it had the blue car on the front.
Yeah, and then the first week, one of my friends saved his game on my memory card, where he had $1 million in the game. So I guess I didn't actually play the regular game for a long time. Besides just having all that money and just buying, you had to unlock certain things, of course, in order to be able to buy them, and you had to race. And then, but besides that, that was a fun game because of all the money.
Well, on that note, I just downloaded Forza Horizon 5, and I hadn't downloaded it, and I love the Forza Horizon games. This one's based in like Mexico, so it's pretty cool. You go through the jungles and all that stuff. It's a very vast game. It also has a Hot Wheels mode. That one's pretty cool.
I've seen videos of that.
Yeah,
that looks super cool.
It is super cool. But it's been out for a while. So when I downloaded it, it gave me all this, like the stuff that all the gifts that they were giving out throughout the tenure of the game. And I racked up almost 1 million credits right off the bat. So I didn't spend any time actually racing. in the last 2 days, I've spent most of my time like just building cars.
That's actually, to be honest, that's actually quite surprising that those promotions would still be active, because a lot of those, especially considering like what they do nowadays, it's like if you don't take advantage of those promotions within a certain amount of time, you're shit out of luck. And that's a big part of what I hate about the especially with modern gaming, the whole FOMO shit. It's just like, oh, you better do this before this time, or you're.
Well, the thing is, I had it downloaded already. I just never played it, so I just updated it.
That makes sense.
And it just gave me everything, and I'm like free cars, free wheel spins that you get, and now that what they do is if you do a race, instead of just getting automatically credits, they'll do a wheel spin to either win cars or win credits or do whatever. They have a Fast 10 car mode that they have a bundle of like the most famous cars from the Fast 10 franchise. Okay. I got all those too. I'm like, yeah, damn it.
So that makes sense then.
Store.
So that makes sense. That makes sense then, because you said you already had the game downloaded it, so it must have thought, okay, we'll just send in this stuff, and it's sitting there waiting for you to do it, and then you get on and finally update the game, and then all of a sudden, boom, 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 and you're just like, what the? I just came in to play a few races. Like, what the hell's going on here? Whereas
because I never played the game, I just downloaded it.
Yeah. Whereas people that have never even played the game or just bought it and downloaded it are just like stuck and shit out of luck. It's like, okay,
sucks to be them. I've had it for 2 days and I already have like 115 cars.
Ronald in the chat saying that even if you buy it today, they'll give you everything still. Okay, I did not know that. That's an interesting one.
Oh, okay. Fun fact. Lola, did you play Forza Horizon, or was Trey playing Forza Horizon in your Xbox? Probably he was playing it.
Forza Horizon 4?
5.
It was Trey, yeah.
Okay, the reason is there's so because I have you as a friend, and anybody I have as a friend that have played the game, anything that they have achieved, like let's say there's a speed trap and they have a top speed on that speed trap, it tells me when I go through it and it says, okay, this was your score. The next person in your friend list, this is their high score. And the first time I went through it, your name popped up. And it said that I was going through it at 145 miles an hour. And he had it at 185. And I'm like,
oh,
gotcha. So I did see your ghost, because that's also a cool thing that you see whatever you do and your friend did it, you see a ghost of the car that they did it in.
That's pretty cool.
Chris vlogs in the chat.
Yeah.
LWO.
So I just so you know, Trey, sorry, your top speed was like 170, 180. I'm sitting at 285, but I digress. That's fine. I just wanted to tell you that. Whatever. Let's go back to what we were talking about before. I just wanted to say that.
PS2 games. There you go.
Yeah.
Your first game on the PS2.
I think Gran Turismo 3 or Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Pro State.
Frustrator. The castrator.
Tony Hawk's prostate exam.
Yeah. Well, that's what he gets now.
Yeah.
He's so old.
Oh, jeez.
Did you know his son is married to Eminem's daughter?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, you imagine that kid?
They're about to be grandparents, if they're not already.
Yeah, they are.
Shut.
You imagine that kid when he gets older? He's going to be throwing bars in the middle of a tunnel. It's going to be crazy. For those that don't know what a tunnel is, it's a skating tunnel. Okay. Moving on. But I digress. Lola, which was like your first? Well, you have the GameCube. We skipped the GameCube.
Yeah, it's just Luigi's Mansion. Luigi's Mansion.
I think
Great
that's
game,
what everyone remembers on that
Yeah,
console.
that's
That one I
about
remember.
Play that one.
Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
That's about it though. I didn't have many consoles. That was more of a you thing. I did have the GameCube, but that's all I played it in. And then you got me the Shrek game, and then I didn't know how to read English, so I just couldn't play it. At
Makes
the
sense.
time. I did want to mention, I know y'all don't give a fuck, but this used to be this plug and play, like Dance Dance Revolution Barbie themed. That was my jam.
Hey,
I
if
played
that's
Dance
what
Dance
you,
Revolution.
The
but
Barbie
not the
theme
Barbie
one?
thing.
Not the theme one.
DDR.
Not the
DDR in general was a global phenomenon for the
Yeah.
longest time.
Yeah. Because it was always in the arcades. And then all of a sudden you can buy a mat and do it at home.
I know, it's so cool.
That's
Here,
crazy.
here's
Then
a picture.
And they stopped working after 3 weeks.
yeah. Oh man, I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember seeing it. I never liked the DDR games.
I
I
was never into it.
didn't as an older human, but not
That's called an
when I was-
adult.
Well, not as an adult. Even as a teenager, I didn't like him, but as a kid, I really, really liked that game. Probably because it was Barbie themed.
I understand. I get it. You bled Barbie. You had all the movies.
You have no fucking clue how much I bled Barbie.
I
also-
do have a clue.
There is my switching it up real quick. My first PC game was a Barbie game as well.
I'm not surprised. You bled glitter.
Yeah. Those
It's
were the
fine.
times.
Hey, listen, that's what you liked. We're not going to say shit about it.
No, you are, but that's okay. That's what brothers are for.
Yeah, that's why you're here.
Siblings are always giving each other shit. That's the entire that's the whole point.
That was in the contract, I think.
Yeah,
But then
pretty
they
much.
Yeah, I don't remember
printed
signing that
too many of
contract.
them.
It's not one that you actually sign. It's willed into existence every time a sibling is born.
Yeah.
That's how it
I
works.
need to find a clause to get rid of her.
There is no clause.
Okay. So Chris Jobs said Battlefront 2, NBA Street, NFL Blitz.
Oh, he's still on PS2. And then we started talking about GameCube. He did mention Need for Speed Carbon, which
That
was
is
really good.
my favorite Need for Speed game. If you go through my, there was a point where I didn't have a console when Need for Speed Underground 2 came out. So I only played Need for Speed Underground 2 when I went to my friend's house. But I had an Xbox because it first came out on PS2 and Xbox. Need for Speed Most Wanted, and then Carbon was the
sequel.
It was a direct sequel, and it lived up to the first one. I do have to say that the mechanics were improved. The storyline was the same. I mean, not the same. It was well written. You had the villain from the first one be the kind of the villain helping the new villain. So it was pretty cool. I thought it was cool.
Well, he was basically just kind of a minor. He got relegated to like a minor role. Like you saw him at the beginning, and then you saw him like maybe 3/4 of the way through when he like just helps. because he goes from a detective to a bounty hunter, and that's pretty much it. And so you don't really see him a whole lot. But I agree with you definitely that Carbon was it was a really good game, but I still give the edge slightly because Carbon was a close second to me, to Most Wanted.
The only reason I like Carbon more than Most Wanted is because of the drifting mechanics.
Oh yeah.
That's the only reason why I give an edge over Most Wanted to me.
I remember playing this one on PS3, but not PS2.
Carbon?
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Carbon wasn't on. No, Carbon was on PS2. It was a cross-gen game, but it really wasn't as good on the older consoles. I actually played Carbon on the Wii.
Because I have
them graphics.
Yeah. Because I do have both Most Wanted and Carbon on Xbox and Xbox 360. I still have the physical copies. But to me, there hasn't been another Need for Speed game. Let's not talk about Need for Speed Run, because that was the worst Need for Speed game ever created.
I disagree. I actually enjoyed that game.
There's no modifications. That's the whole thing of Need for Speed. There's literally no modifications in cars at all. That's what they built their fan base on. Underground, you could literally modify everything. Even, which I don't understand.
It didn't start that way because the first 3 or 4 Need for Speed games didn't have that kind of.
Pursuit was not a modification thing. It was more of a.
The first, it didn't start out that way. It didn't become what that was until the Underground games. And then,
it blew up.
Most Wanted and Carbon became the natural evolution of that. And then they moved. And then I think Pro Street was another part of that. And then they had other games that did that, but then they had other ones that just focused on that focused more on pure racing. Whether it's Need for Speed Run, whether it was Need for the Run or it was what was it? Need for Speed Shift. Need for Speed Shift was another good one that I liked because it was how the hell do I describe it? It was a step away from, like, say, Gran Turismo,
right?
And so it was an alternative to that.
That's why I like the whole Forza thing. You either have Forza Horizon, which is open world, and you have Forza Motorsport, which is Gran Turismo style, and they'll release them at the same time because they want to. They know that there's people that just love track racing, and then there's other people that like the whole open world thing. I personally, even though I grew up with Gran Turismo, I rather the open world because to me, after Gran Turismo, Need for Speed, like Underground and Carbon and Most Wanted came out, and to me that took over. But Need for Speed Run, the only reason that was released in that the way that they did, it was because they were promoting the movie. Because they wanted to make the movie. They made the game just like the movie was. We're gonna make a race from point A to point B.
It was more story driven, and I actually enjoyed that. That was actually really cool.
No, and it was different. I liked it. I'm not. It just, to me, it was the bottom of Need for Speed of all the. And well, actually, Pro Street was the worst to me. But then
I wasn't a fan of Pro Street at all.
Yeah, it was very unlayered. But there was no really story in Pro Street other than you need to win.
Yeah, it was straight up track racing and just trying. It seemed like it was trying to recapture the old Need for Speed crowd that kind of moved on to other stuff.
Talking about cars, y'all remember Burnout 3? That was.
I don't think I ever played the Burnout games.
It was more about the destruction.
Mhm.
Because that game, that's all it was about.
Yep.
Like they had a mode. It was literally just cause as much damage you can and try to beat the damage you did before.
Ronald in the chat, I bet Lola would have a lot of fun with Burnout.
Oh yeah.
I got my start on that franchise with Burnout 2.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think Lola would like it because it's literally all you do is they put you in the start and you have to go as fast as you can and reach the city and destroy as much as you can.
I would probably enjoy that a lot.
If you like destroy him, play Tear Down.
Tear Down.
Well, I mean, Burnout, especially 2 and 3, were still technically racing games, so you have to. I mean, obviously, yeah. The point is, completing circuits and or going point to point and whatnot. But they added that extra layer onto with like the destruction and just causing so much freaking damage with the different cars and all and the environment and what have you. And then, of course, obviously, both of those games, especially 2 and 3, had those modes specifically where you got up as much speed as you could to try and cause as much damage as you could. It was incredible. I preferred Burnout 2 to Burnout 3, but
the reason I bring it up is because that's the one that was introduced into the franchise. Mm-hmm. That one's more like 2004-ish. Mm-hmm. But in PlayStation 2, we had 3 great GTA games. We had Vice City, we had San Andreas, and we had GTA 3.
Yep.
And I think those are the ones that you played, Lola. One of those. I think it was San Andreas.
Okay. I don't remember much of the game apart from it look like it was on a sunset constantly. If that makes sense. Like it was very orangey.
Oh, the Vice City then. Vice City was like that because of Miami vibes and whatnot.
Yeah.
It like almost like an 80s style Miami Vice kind of vibe to it. It was also the only PS2 GTA game that I ever finished. I never finished GTA 3 and I actually didn't even play what was
San Andreas.
San Andreas. Never even played that one.
To me, obviously, GTA 5, it's one of the greatest GTA games, but San Andreas to me is the close second.
San Andreas was fun.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and it makes perfect sense because GTA 5 basically goes right back to San Andreas. It's that map, and it's expanded immensely. And then GTA 4 was another one that I never even bothered to finish because I don't know, at the time, like we were like it was on the precipice of like GTA 5's release when I was still playing GTA 4, and once that game released, I was like, all right, moving on. And I never played 4 again. Plus the map was like significantly smaller for GTA 4 as compared to GTA 3. Like they shrunk the map down significantly between those.
It was like in between, and like GTA 3 and San Andreas, the maps were kind of still decent size, but then GTA 4 compared to those two and GTA 5, it's like,
well, yeah, but that's the thing. Like visually, GTA 4 was incredible. Like it was an incredible game, but I'm curious as to like, and you're playing in the exact same map as you were with GTA 3 with Liberty City. The issue is like they shrunk the map down, so you didn't have as much. They're still open world, obviously, but there wasn't as much to it as GTA 3 as far as map size.
Right.
And I'm wondering like why the decision was made to do that, unless it was just, maybe sacrificing some map size for like better visual fidelity and things like that.
Which makes sense.
Could have been the reason.
You guys have anything else on PS2?
Nope.
No. Okay.
Well, we were talking about GameCube as well, so I think my first game on that was Wind Waker.
What you call me?
Wink wanker, we call you. I never owned it, but the first one I played there was. I've already played this before, but the game in that one was Smash Brothers.
Yeah. Soul Calibur 2.
Ooh, Soul Calibur 2 was great. Being able to play as Link. I also had it for the PS2, but their exclusive character Heihachi wasn't really that good. I always played as other characters when I played it on that console, but Link was my main on that one. And then Smash Brothers Melee was a good game for the time, but to be honest, for me, especially compared to a lot of the newer Smash games, for me, it just doesn't hold up.
Right.
And obviously, I'm going to get a lot of Melee fans that are just going to say, they're going to shake a finger at me. And I'm just like, no, sorry. You can continue to glaze Smash Brothers Melee all you want. That's fine. But the newer games have done it so much better. Except for Brawl. Brawl, I think, outside of the story mode, was a bit of a step down as far as the gameplay is concerned.
Got it. Lola, did you ever play Prince of Persia?
I did not. I know we've talked about it in recent years, but never actually played the game. I know they came out with a new one too recently-ish.
It's a good game. It's like, I want to say like a good startup to Assassin's Creed.
Okay.
No.
I also want to play at some point or another, probably not anytime soon, the old Lara Croft games. I know we talked about it already, but it is on my to-do list.
You have to play the first one, like Tomb Raider, the first Tomb Raider game.
Yeah.
I love it because the missions, like there's a mission that you're literally you train in your house, in your mansion.
Oh,
and there's a bunch of things that you're going to come across in the gameplay itself that you have around your house.
Oh, okay.
And they teach you everything you need to know before you go out into the actual game.
That's pretty cool.
Ronald in the chat, I absolutely hate the first Tomb Raider.
That's cool, because I was
Sucks to be
asking you.
I can't say as I blame you, because, and you'll probably, I mean, you'll enjoy playing the game, I think, but I think the part you'll enjoy the least is the controls and the movement. They're just, they do not hold up well. They're janky as fuck.
Okay. Well, I don't like that.
Well, I mean, I don't want to try and stop you from playing it, because I would say if you want to experience the game, go ahead and do it. Like you should experience the game.
If I buy the game and start playing it and it's janky as fuck, I'm just going to immediately like, no.
Well, think about this.
Emulators.
Yeah, think about this. The worst controller, probably the worst controller in the history, is the N64 controller. And we really enjoy playing the console. Like, it didn't matter.
I also tried playing Super Mario. Super Mario recently, and on Trey's like Switch. And and I hated the controls.
Right.
It sucked. I kept getting like motion sickness from just trying to get the camera to stop moving.
Which Super Mario?
64.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it's really bright. So if it moves
Yeah.
a lot and
there's a ton of motion blur and
Yeah.
the way the
Very
camera controls work.
disorienting.
Yeah. It's really jarring.
Mhm.
And imagine playing it originally in a tube TV.
Well, that's the thing, though. It was
It didn't seem that bad then.
right. Well, because I mean, that's the thing, though. The technology behind the old TVs worked well for the N64, and so it looked a lot smoother than it does now. So, like, it literally doesn't hold up as well now on the newer stuff because you see a lot of the faults from those games that you wouldn't otherwise see back then.
Right.
So if you really you really want to get the best possible experience, and not everybody's going to be able to do this, like you want to get the best possible experience for playing the old games, play them on the original systems. And if you can get a CRT TV, do it. But not everybody can
do it.
Absolutely. But the thing is, like, not everybody has the time and or excess funds to go out and do all that.
Right.
So,
Very true, yeah.
you work with what you have, and that's why a lot of people turn to emulators.
Okay, I have a question. How old were you when you found out that Animal Crossing came out in the GameCube? Because the answer is today. Today, years old is when I found out that Animal Crossing actually came out in the GameCube first.
I didn't know that until right now. I always thought that was like a Switch game.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I've known for a while. I just didn't get into it until I think the one that came out on the Wii.
I didn't even know that there was one on the Wii either.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
The more
if you would have told me there was one on the Wii, I would have said, "Oh, maybe that's the first one." No, you go all the way back to GameCube. Got it. Didn't know.
GameCube. It was GameCube. I believe the DS had one. The 3DS had one. The Wii, and then of course the Switch.
Nice. We're gonna move on from GameCube real quick because we're at an hour and a half, and we still have like 6 more generations of games.
We can continue on the next
game
if you want.
Yeah.
We did this the first time too. We spoke for like 3 hours about
yeah. So we can stop here in GameCube and then pick it up on the next console for the next episode because there's plenty.
Oh yeah, I think we'll be picking it up with the PlayStation 3 and I think what was it, the Xbox 360?
Yeah. Because did you guys have? Since we're on, because the next one would be a different generation of Xbox. Did you guys own the original Xbox? The first one?
Not me.
No.
I did not.
Okay, then this is a very short list. Halo was my first. Halo 2 was my first Xbox game.
I played both of those on PC.
Which makes sense. There's not a lot of that I can think of other than what we just talked about with like Need for Speed and all that. But Halo was my first, my Xbox virginity.
I didn't own it, but I played once that game. That's it.
Yeah, that's fine.
For like 3 minutes until I die and pass the controller.
Yeah, it wasn't difficult, but it was challenging.
Which one?
Halo 2. It was kind of challenging. Which was good.
Yeah. I loved Halo 2 so much. And
the Warhog.
Honestly, like if it wasn't for, I think it would have been for me more of the same as Halo 1 had it not been for the amazing soundtrack that was on the second game.
Oh, dude.
The soundtrack on Halo 2 was a massive step up from the previous game. And me being a big metal fan, hearing Breaking Benjamin with a song on the Halo 2 soundtrack was fucking awesome.
Well, this is how I'm going to finish the episode. When I downloaded Forza Horizon, I'm going through a race and I'm almost losing. And all of a sudden, what do I hear? The Halo theme song. They have the Halo theme song in the Forza Horizon 5 game. And I said, you know what? Master Chief would want me to win this. And I did. I did. But it was just insane to and it's weird. The soundtrack in Forza Horizon, it's all over the place, but it has classical music.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And I'm like, wait, do I hear a violin? I do hear a violin.
Ronald Shelton in the chat was saying what you don't like the ahs. What are you referring to exactly?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but that's the thing though. That was carried over into the second game and pretty much every game there, every game thereafter. Like that's like it's an iconic tune that is recognized everywhere to the point where it's basically been called the gamer's national anthem.
Yeah.
It's
it's a Halo theme song.
Yes, everybody knows that. And like I honestly can't say that I don't like it. I love the Halo theme, the main theme. It's incredible.
How does it go?
It's even in Guitar Hero 3.
It's great.
Oh yeah.
I wonder if Voice Mod has it.
What? Oh, the
The
Halo.
Halo. Yeah.
Yeah. Bear with us, folks. Somebody's trying to find something. It's too quiet in here.
Chicken jockey.
I did have that one. This is all I found so far.
Perfection.
Nice.
I have a lot.
There you go.
I didn't want to let it play. I don't want to get hit with the copyright strike.
Oh, if they wanted to be assholes, they'd hit it. They'd hit us with it regardless.
Yeah.
That whole 10-second thing is bullshit.
Unfreaking believable.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Do you guys have anything else on the first part of what we just talked about?
Yeah, I was gonna say we've got plenty, but just not enough time to
yeah.
So yeah, no, I think we're good for this evening.
Yes.
You know what I just realized? I never introduced the podcast today. It's whatever.
They know.
Well,
in 4 years.
More time for the meat and potatoes. You know.
Yeah.
Of course.
For the meat and taters.
Taters.
Right.
Boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew.
Potatoes.
Lovely big golden chips with a nice piece of fried fish.
Yes.
French fries, motherfucker. All right. With that being said, thank you guys for joining us. We will be continuing this conversation next week I am sure. We're going to talk about from PlayStation 3 to the present, maybe, depending on how long this conversation goes. But we promise that we'll start with the PlayStation 3.
Unless we forgot any games now, then we'll mention it next time.
Yeah. And if we forgot anything and you're watching this after it's pre-recorded, make sure that you leave them in the comments because we don't remember everything. I'm sorry. We're in our 30s, except for Lola. We're in our 30s. We forget things. And she's not in her 30s, but she forgets things.
Well, yeah, I mean, it happens to us all at some point, you know. Or better yet, you could always join our Discord as well.
Which they can find all of our links where?
Down in the description below. Everywhere you need to go, everywhere you can, everywhere we operate, right down there. Click all the things.
You heard the man. We'll see you next week. See ya.
Okay, bye.
See.
Bye.